E-commerce and e-marketing, a marriage made in cyberspace. This webinar is geared to take approximately 40 to 45 minutes, as we know that your time is valuable. Once we have completed, we will open it up to a short Q&A section, so please hold your questions until then, or you can simply type them in on the right side of your screen and we will address them after the presentation. If you notice on the right in the GoToMeeting box about 3/4 of the way down, there's a box marked chat. Simply just put your questions right in there, and John and I will stay on as long as necessary after the presentation. Let me begin by introducing John Vrabel. John is the founding partner and the managing partner of Energy Edge, as well as our resident expert in business development, with a proven track record for building businesses that are rewarded by the marketplace. John?
Hey, thank you, Adrian, and good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar this morning. I apologize for getting started just a couple of minutes late. That was actually my mistake. Adrian was sending me a message, am I ready? And I'm just not paying attention as I've been sitting here. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get through our webinars at a pretty fast pace, as we always do. So we don't keep you any longer than you'd like to be with us this morning and live up to the commitment of time that Adrian just mentioned to you. I will also, though, reiterate Adrian's suggestion. Because we do go through these webinars quickly and they really do have a lot of information packed into them, please do feel free to use that the GoToMeeting chat feature, as Adrian mentioned, in the GoToMeeting panel, so that you can ask questions as we go, and we'll go ahead and tackle those in our Q&A as after we get through the webinar itself. A lot of times that turns out to be actually some of the most interactive and maybe enlightening part of the webinars. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. And our webinar this morning is really talking about e-commerce and e-marketing as a combination. And we refer to it as a marriage made in cyberspace. And it really is kind of a nice marriage. We will focus in this webinar as far as e-marketing and kind of its impact on e-commerce. As some of you probably know that are on the webinar this morning, we are very active working with companies in the industry as far as selling fuel online. We've been doing it for about 13 years. The first 9 years or so, we were actually doing it for ourselves. And the company that we were involved in and actually built a very sizable online energy business serving close to 100,000 customers by the time we wrapped up after 9 years. And then since then, we've actually been providing a platform and a system to fuel marketers, heating oil, propane, commercial fuels marketers, that enables individual companies to kind of do what we did for so many years and sell fuel online to their customers within their service area and actually grow their customer base via e-commerce. So our e-marketing, some of our e-marketing comments are going to focus on the impact of e-marketing on selling fuel online. Certainly we have a ton of experience doing it, but our clients now have experience too, and this market, of course, continues to change. So we'll keep you up to date in terms of kind of what's the latest and the greatest that's going on. So with that, let's take a look at our agenda for this morning's coffee break webinar. Three areas that we're going to explore this morning. The first is internet usage. You know, what we're doing on the internet, how many of us are in the internet and so forth, because it is the driver for e-marketing. Our second area is some of the e-marketing tactics. You know, what do you do? When we say e-marketing, what kind of things do you do? What do they cost? Are they effective, and so forth? So we'll be exploring a number of those. And if you're not currently using e-marketing and you want to do that, you know, what do you do next? Who can do it for you? What's your ROI? How do you measure it to make sure that you're getting your money's worth, and so forth? So we'll tackle those topics as we wrap up the webinar this morning. So let's start out with some questions. Make sure everybody's awake this morning. Hopefully you have your cup of coffee with you. But a little bit of internet trivia for you. So get ready so you can just jot down these answers for yourself before we reveal them. 3 questions. What percentage of adults in the U.S. have access to the internet today? Is it 50%, 80%, or is it everyone except for my parents? The second question, what percentage of adults research a product or a service online before they make a purchase. So what percentage of adults use the internet for research before they're buying something? Is it 58%, 83%, or is it everyone who walks into a Best Buy shopping for a flat screen TV? And then the third question, and probably the most important question for this webinar, is what percentage of U.S. internet users are buying online? Is it 50%, 65%, or is it 80% of internet users actually making purchases online? Okay, you ready? All right, here we go. All right, so what percentage of adults in the U.S. have access to the internet? Well, as of a couple of years ago, it was 80% of homes or of adults had home internet access. Now, if you add to that access to the internet at work, on mobile devices, or even through the public library, the internet has become virtually universal in the U.S. Anyone that wants to be online can be online. That picture that's there in the bottom left shows some seniors gathered around a laptop. Not uncommon today. And one of our other webinars actually mentions usage of, or actually the purchasers, online purchasers, actually skewing very heavily toward the baby boomers in the population. And I saw this picture. My mother-in-law is in an assisted living center, a nice center, and they have internet access in there for the residents, but they also have a couple of common computers that are available for them. And every time we go in there, those computers are generally in use by someone that's just surfing the internet. All right, so question number 2 then. Let's see if you can get this one right. What percentage of adults research products and services online before making a purchase? Actually, the most recent information from Pricewaterhouse says that 83% of U.S. consumers go online to research various products and services before they make those purchases. One of my tongue-in-cheek answers was everyone that walks into a Best Buy to buy a flat screen TV. You know, certainly we know that people are researching online, and then they, you know, one of the other phenomena that takes place is what's called showrooming, where people would go into a place like Best Buy, take a look at the flat screens, pick a model that they might be interested in, and use their smartphones to find out who might have that same model flat screen at a cheaper price. So they're using the internet to research, you know, what they're looking for, maybe what the reviews are of particular brands, you know, and so forth, and then also using that the internet access, if not to make the purchase online, to at least find out if the purchase that they're making in the store is actually a reasonable purchase to make. And our third question, what percent of U.S. internet users buy online? Well, according to Nielsen, and this is a couple of years old, but across the world, across the globe, it's 85% of the world's online population has used the internet to make a purchase. If we look here in the U.S. in the last year, the number is just about 80%, and that number has been increasing. So you've got 80% of the people that are online, and as we said before, it's virtually everyone that's online. So you have about 80% of adults that are also making purchases online, and that behavior is continuing to increase. So if we think back over these 3 questions, you can see how very important the internet has become in terms of you know, how we're getting information, where we're going to find out very specific information about products and services, and then buying those products and services online as well. So what does it say about our industry? We need to be involved on the internet if we're going to continue to sustain our businesses and ultimately grow our businesses, and the internet can, in fact, be a growth medium for your business. We know that firsthand. Before we move off the customer, though, I want to share one other thing, because as we see more people doing things on the internet, kind of the way that they use the internet is also changing as well. Today, consumers expect more interaction online. not just transaction. So if we think about that maybe in terms of our business and in our experience with selling fuel online, sure, it's fairly easy today to build the capability to sell something online. There are shopping carts out there for kind of products and services that are fairly standard if you're shipping something via UPS from point A to point B. And the fuel business is just a hair more complicated. But certainly, that customer, knows how to buy online, knows, and it's fairly, we can set up a transactional process, fairly well. But what that customer is really looking for is more of an interaction. They just don't want to place an order and have that order go into a black hole someplace. They want to receive a confirmation. Think about Amazon. Think about Amazon if you're making a purchase. You place that order, you get a confirmation on screen, you get a confirmation via email. That same sort of expectation is what the customer wants with, if they're interacting with you and your business. That order is scheduled for delivery or it ships to let that customer know when that's going to happen. So you have that transactional interaction. You also have an ongoing customer relationship building interaction that customers value as well. It might be as simple as sharing with customers information in terms of what's going on with fuel pricing. It might be sharing information with them in terms of what's happening with the weather, since we're a very weather-dependent business. If there's a nor'easter coming up the East Coast, and that's going to have an impact on temperatures, or it's going to have an impact on snow or ice and deliveries, to share that information with customers, which is very, very easy to do in the e-marketing world. Customers value that type of interaction with the companies that they're working for, which makes them more loyal and ultimately has them buying more products from companies. So that interaction is becoming more important today than just transactions. A comment here on social media and social commerce. The socialization of e-commerce, if you will, that interaction that takes place. Underline there, social commerce can enhance their journey. It becomes more valuable to that customer, which of course builds stronger customers for you. And the other underlined portion there, it builds trust in the long run. And that was one of the things that as we were doing e-commerce beginning about 13 years ago and building that business, that was a pleasant surprise for us, is we saw the ability to develop loyalty with our customers in the online world even stronger than we could with those customers doing business with them by phone. It's pretty amazing, pretty impressive. All right. So let's turn our attention now to some of the e-marketing tactics. And I really like this tree. It's not ours. It's borrowed from another marketing organization, but it represents very well kind of what we're talking about today, and that interaction from we all have our businesses, and and we decide how we're going to set those businesses up. What our strategies are going to be, how we're going to brand it, and so forth as we look to building the website. And then we ultimately build our website based upon all this work that we've done down here. And then, as we say very often to our customers, if you're talking about e-commerce, it all starts with the traffic that goes to the website. It all starts with a visitor going online and one way or another getting to your website. You're not going to sell anything online until that happens. So it all starts with the traffic. So around the branches to this tree are a variety of different types of electronic marketing tactics. And some of these that we've called out here today, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about. We obviously don't have enough time to talk about all of them, but we'll give you some highlights and some of the latest learnings in terms of how this works, ROIs, the effectiveness, and so forth. All right, so let's jump in. The first one we're going to talk about is search engine optimization. or as it's otherwise known, SEO. We look at search engine optimization, and certainly when we provide our clients who use our online platform, part of our system is what we call the marketing roadmap. And number one on the marketing roadmap is search engine optimization, because it is very much the foundation for your online presence. What search engine optimization does is somebody that's good at search engine optimization and knows what they're doing will actually set up your website. And some of it's the words on the pages, some of it's the headlines, some of it's the organization of that information and the emphasis that's put on keywords or keyword phrases, the types of phrases that people are putting into a search bar, like this Google search page that I have here on the slide. And there's also work that those SEO experts do behind the scenes, kind of the back of your pages that the customers see or visitor sees when they go to your website as well. So SEO is really the foundation that allows the spiders for the search engines. So whether it's Google or Bing or MSN or Answer.com or any of the search engines, and there are hundreds of them, they all have what are called spiders that actually go out and visit websites all over the world on a continual basis, and they kind of crawl over those sites, which is why they're called spiders, and they take the information that's on your site so that when somebody types a phrase like I have here, lowest price heating oil, Baltimore County, Google then, in this particular case, turns up the search results back to you, to the visitor or to the user. And you as the company, what you want to do is you want to be number one as far as those search results. Now I happen to do this particular one. Let me just define this page a little bit for any of you that may not be familiar with it. You can see this area here, these first three search results. It's in a slightly shaded area. That's actually paid search, and we're going to talk about paid search a little bit more on the next page, which is the same as what's over here in the right-hand column. This right-hand column on a Google results page is also paid search. What starts right here is what's called organic search. Organic search turns up results just based upon what those spiders have seen on a website and the search phrase that a visitor is looking for. So in this particular case, and this happens to be a client of ours, so we know some of the phrases that they optimized around. And when we searched on that, it comes up number one as far as the organic results on that page. Perfect. That's absolutely the best location you can be, is number one organic search results. So that's kind of how, from a very, very high level, SEO is structured and determines how it's used. So, like I said, page number one organic search rank, perfect place. That's the goal. You can't always achieve that for a variety of some very good reasons. But ideally what you want to do as far as your organic search results is you want to be on this first page. You want to be on page one results. And these results go down a little bit further here. I just didn't have enough room on this page to include them all. In order to do good SEO, to do it well, you need to know the key search phrases, their usage, how you want to prioritize those. Generally targeting 5 or 6 key phrases about your business is where you want to be. Geo-targeting is also very important and very useful. So in this particular case, my search phrase included a geographic reference, Baltimore County, Maryland in this case, and Google also, or your search engines, or actually through your ISP provider, who you get your internet service from, generally can determine geographically where you're located. So you might potentially just type in lowest price heating oil without a geographic reference, and you would typically get the results that would be within your region. Maybe not as precisely as your town or the adjoining towns, but there are geo-techniques and geo-targeting techniques that work, even if somebody doesn't search on heating oil in your particular town, as an example, where you can still come up high on those results. So geo-targeting is very important. The experts will then optimize your content, optimize the copy on your pages based upon your keywords. They need to confirm the accuracy of page headers, meta tags, descriptions, and so forth. Those are things that are kind of behind the pages. And then the other thing about SEO is yes, you do it once. Maybe when you set up or you reorganize your site or you update your site, and you have your SEO expert spend time doing the SEO. But SEO also needs to be dynamic. It needs to be updated on a regular basis in order to keep your SEO as active and as vital, because otherwise your competitors are going to be doing it, and then they will start to outrank you. So SEO is something that is done ongoing, and it provides you with the ROI. This box here, and you'll see this box on the subsequent pages as well. It's just a value index that we've developed. We call it our Energy Engine Value Index in terms of helping folks understand kind of what the value is of each one of these tactics. In this particular case, in terms of important, how important is SEO? It rates 5 red boxes. It doesn't get any more important than SEO. You got to do it. The cost, however, is lower. You can see it's $2 signs. Matter of fact, the only reason why it's $2 signs and not $1 sign is because there is an initial investment that needs to be made, on SEO. But then ongoing, there's much less investment that's needed. So it's really very low cost once you get everything set up. The ROI, very, very strong. The ability to measure your results, also very strong. And then you can see here, as far as our Energy Engine marketing roadmap, we have 2 different categories of tactics. SEO falls into what we call the Vital 6. 6 tactics that, if you're doing e-commerce online, selling fuel online, or in this particular case, even if you just have your basic website, search engine optimization, in our opinion, needs to be something you absolutely need to be investing money in, and it's not a lot of money. All right, so moving on, and we'll be able to go through these pages now a little bit faster now that we've kind of set the groundwork. Search engine marketing, or you'll sometimes hear it called pay-per-click, can be extremely effective. It can be used very strategically, and is also very budget manageable. So what pay-per-click does, we mentioned previously, and this is the same search page or search results that we saw on the previous page. We mentioned that these are paid results. That's how you can get presence on a page. It's not quite as good as organic. It's a little bit more expensive than organic, but not much. And you have the ability to control your budget. If you want to spend $30 a month, you can spend $30 a month, and once that $30 is spent, no more pay-per-click will take place, or $300 a month, or whatever amount you want to. You control this down to the dollar. It can be very effective when done well. Matter of fact, you see here on our value chart, we now have pay-per-click as one of our Vital 6. That as techniques have been more refined, for pay-per-click. But essentially, what happens with pay-per-click is, is the marketing firm you work with sets up a campaign based upon keyword searches. So in this case, if you can see this on this page, we'll look at this one over here. It's a little bit easier to look at. Maybe Champion Energy has bought pay-per-click around some search phrases. They say cheap heating oil there as their lead, so that probably triggers around lowest price and obviously heating oil. And they also happen to be located in the Baltimore area in Maryland as well. So that's a way for them to actually appear on these pages. And it's kind of interesting to note that many of these companies that are there are using pay-per-click, but they're not showing up in the organic results. So you know, they probably have their budget just a little bit out of balance, because from our view, the money should be spent on the organic search results initially and then pay-per-click. And actually, we have some folks that we work with that caution their clients, or folks that we refer to our clients to do things like pay-per-click. They caution their clients, don't use pay-per-click as a crutch for poor SEO. Do your SEO well first, and then add pay-per-click on top of it strategically. And speaking of strategy, one of the things that you can, in fact, do with pay-per-click that we've seen some clients do it very, very effectively, is they actually specifically target their competitors. So if you have some competitors that are getting a lot of web traffic, you know, they just do the internet well, you know, maybe they've been doing it for a long period of time, maybe they're selling fuel online, which is going to drive more traffic to their website. So if you know they have a lot of traffic, you can actually target them by name. That can be your pay-per-click search phrase, is their company name. And that way, you know, those customers or those visitors that are typing into that Google search phrase, you know, the name of your competitor's business directly, ABC Oil Company, you can in fact show up on that page in the pay-per-click section, and actually you know, just show to somebody that's going to their site that there is an alternative, that you are an alternative for what your competitor's selling. So it can be very effective. If you take a peek at our value index down here, you can see that pay-per-click also measures up very, very well as far as most of the standards. The only reason why we have it lower on the importance is it's not critical to do it. If you're doing great SEO, you actually don't need to do pay-per-click. But in most cases, pay-per-click winds up being a good supplement to your SEO work. All right. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about a tactic that's pretty new called retargeting or remarketing. We've done some testing with this, and like I say, this is something that's pretty new. But it looks like it can be a very low-cost customer acquisition method. So let's define what it is. This first bullet actually does that. What retargeting does is it actually serves up internet ads to folks that have previously visited your website after they've left your website without buying anything from you, or in the lingo, converting. Okay? So they visited your website, but they didn't buy anything from you. And what we have here, this is a Yahoo page, and this was actually one that I was on one day. And I noticed that down here, you can see an ad for Progressive, the insurance folks. Now, I don't know precisely that this is a retargeting ad, but I think it might be, because at that period of time, I actually had been online. I was going through the process of considering changing my auto insurance carrier. So I was online doing some research, getting some quotes and so forth to make sure that I wasn't overpaying for my auto insurance. So it would be reasonable that Progressive was one of them that I looked at. It would be reasonable that Progressive might be using retargeting so that when I was on other sites that that Progressive has a relationship with through their retargeting firm, that my ad would show up. So that's how retargeting works. You know, here I was visiting another site unrelated to what I had been looking for, auto insurance, and there was a reminder from Progressive, you know, to maybe come back to Progressive and you know, make my purchase with them. So that's what retargeting does. There are companies that, a couple of companies that do this. It's relatively easy to set it up. AdRoll is one that we've used. There's a number of other companies. Oftentimes there are actually free trials that are available to do it. Maybe you get you know, 30 days or 2 weeks or a certain dollar amount, you know, in terms of retargeting to kind of give it a try. And like we say, it can be very effective and cost efficient. but it is something that is relatively new. But it's something that you can actually set up. You know, you spend a couple of hours going through it the first time, and you can actually set it up directly online. It's pretty easy to do. And you can see how things rate in terms of our value index. This is on our secondary 7. It's not part of the vital 6, but you know, some of our more progressive you know, clients are toying with some of this, and this is also a situation where you can control your budget, you know, as well. So you know, you're not going to wind up spending a lot of money on this. We're talking, you know, tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars during a particular period of time. All right, turning our attention to e-newsletters, as we say here, don't do business without it. E-newsletters are the most powerful tactic that our clients have, especially our online clients that are selling fuel online. It is the most effective tactic to moving customers to conversion, to making existing customers more loyal, or getting existing customers to actually buy more from our clients. E-newsletters, I mean, it's the digital equivalent, obviously, to the newsletters that the industry is very familiar with, typically 4-page. Many of them color newsletters, printed, put together, you know, over a period of several weeks, mailed out, and so forth. It takes a long period of time to put them together, and it costs us money to print them and mail them and so forth. E-newsletters are different. You can put them together literally in a matter of minutes. To send them out is almost cost-free, or very, very, very little cost. To give you an idea, those of you that are on this webinar may have received a newsletter, an e-newsletter from us, you know, announcing this webinar, inviting you to attend. We distribute our e-newsletters to a list that exceeds 5,000, and I think our cost per month for our newsletter service is less than $35, I believe. So it's very, very inexpensive to get this sent out, and not only does it send it out, but it manages the response, gives us the measurements. You can see that e-newsletters score pretty high in terms of our measurement measure. Extremely important, very, very low cost, and the best ROI of anything that we do. Newsletters, you know, without going through all of the points that are there, just you know, so we don't run over in terms of our time today. Newsletters can be used for a variety of different purposes. You know, we see clients using newsletters during the course of the season when everybody's interested in, if we're talking about heating oil or if you're using propane for heat, you know, kind of what's going on, especially heating oil prices being a little bit more volatile than propane prices. You know, prices are going up. Why are prices going up? So, you know, sometimes it's just informational. We'll have clients that use it if, you know, if the market's going up and they happen to have, you know, some fuel maybe that they have in their own terminal. You know, they may say, hey, prices are headed up. We're likely to be increasing our prices, you know, tomorrow afternoon. Get your orders in now. I mean, that type of a newsletter or even a text message to a customer base builds loyalty tremendously to actually let your customers know pretty quickly, hey, prices are headed up. It'd be a good time for you to buy now. That builds loyalty because that's very useful to customers. Some other ways e-newsletters have been used. I mentioned the Nor'easter coming up the coast. You know, an e-newsletter that can be put together, you know, in a matter of a short period of time to get out to all the customers. You know, just, you know, reminding them, hey, the Nor'easter's coming. In addition to the bread, milk, and eggs that everybody flocks to the grocery store to pick up, you know, make sure that you have a sufficient amount of oil on hand so you're not caught low, or also remind them that after the storm, it may slow down deliveries. We're going to get ice, we're going to get snow, whatever the case may be, so to place your orders now and make sure that your family stays, you know, warm, comfortable, and safe. And again, that type of help and assistance is extremely valuable to customers and builds the relationship. So even if they don't need a delivery at that time, so they don't respond to that newsletter specifically, says, hey, my company is helping me out and, and being useful to me, and that builds that relationship. So when they do need oil, they're making sure that they're buying it from you. Some more maybe creative uses, or creative is probably the wrong word, but business building uses. We have one of our clients that just recently, sent a newsletter to all of their online customers, all the customers that buy fuel from them online, and they happen to be announcing their programs. And in this particular case, it was an early bird pre-buy program, and that client made the decision to use their e-lists for their online business to call attention to the pre-buy opportunity. And those pre-buy customers need to be on automatic delivery. So what they've effectively done is they've cross-sold to their online list, and they've had customers buying pre-buy from them, going on automatic delivery, and essentially becoming one of their full-service customers. So they just upsold that customer from online fuel sales to automatic delivery. And they'll continue to do that. They do e-newsletters on their full-service side of the business that have a different message than they do on their online side of the business. So you have the ability to kind of to tailor your messages to the different groups. And certainly if you are selling fuel online, hopefully you're collecting emails for everybody that's interacting with you on your site, as well as registering and making purchases from you. And very, very important that that's done. In our case, the energy engine that our clients use do that for them. So it's very, very powerful. As we refer to it, it's e-list gold for them. All right, social media marketing. We hear a lot about it, and over to the right there are just a few of the social medias. Certainly Facebook and Twitter, stick out. Is it effective? Should you be doing it? Yes, if you can commit to it, because social media, as we know, is very social and consequently interactive. So you have to have this particular e-marketing tactic takes more involvement from you than any of the others. Most of the others you can kind of, you can spend some time with it and they kind of run on autopilot. Social media needs to be interactive. It does require some specific social media marketing skills. So you really want to work with a qualified firm to be able to do this and kind of make your life easy. If you look at our value index there, it is a little bit more expensive to do this because your marketing firm is helping you with kind of the manual, social, interactive nature of these mediums. So it has a little bit more cost because they need to spend more time with it. But that said, it's still very, very affordable, and you can see the ROI index there, is very strong. And it is, social media is very fast becoming one of the must-haves, for corporate marketing, although we still have it, in our secondary 7 as one of the things that can be very effective, but not quite as important yet as our vital 6. So, again, I'll remind you as I go through this, I'm probably generating some questions in your mind that you may have specific to your business. That's fine. It doesn't make any difference. Go ahead and use that GoToMeeting panel, and in just a couple of minutes we'll be getting to the Q&A, so we'll make sure to get answers to those questions for you. All right, and then I think this is our last e-marketing tactic, behavioral marketing. What we call here the holy grail to build your business. Behavioral marketing is where you take an individual's website behavior. If I go to a website, what do I do on that website? You add marketing automation to it, and you have behavioral marketing. So if you think about, and I'll give you some examples from our energy engine on how that works, because the energy engine has behavioral marketing built into it. So what happens is somebody comes and visits. They're interested in buying whatever it is that you're selling, maybe propane or maybe heating oil or maybe bioheat or whatever your fuels are. So they come to your site, and the energy engine is running this behind the scenes. But they come to your site, and they see that you're offering, heating oil, and they say, okay, well, let me see what the price is for my town. And in order to get that price, they need to provide their zip code, so you know where they're located. And they also need to provide their email address, for that customized price quote. And then that price quote, including the different pricing brackets, the more they buy, typically the more they save, is the way most clients have it set up. They get that price quote, but they stop there. Okay, they don't register, they don't place an order, they're not already registered. So there's somebody that's new that's come and they've done a price quote. What behavioral marketing can do for that client, because it depends how they have it set up, but our suggestion would be that in a period of time, have the system generate a nice email to them, and over to the right side of this page is a sample of what one of those emails might look like. This is from one client right over here. And that email typically would say, hey, thanks for visiting. Hope you found your experience, to be useful online. Thanks for quoting price with us. We'd really like to have you as a customer. And then you have an option. And that email might go out to them. It might go out to them 30 minutes after they quote price, 15 minutes after they quote price, or you could set it up to go out the next day and say, hey, I know you were visited, with us yesterday. We'd like to have you as a customer. You also have the option to provide a customized promotion as part of that email. The system does everything for you, so everything happens automated. And, you may say, hey, we'd like to give you a first-time customer discount, $10 off your first order or 5 cents off a gallon or however you set it up. You have all that flexibility to be able to do it. Behavioral marketing becomes very, very strong marketing for you because it's triggered based off the behavior of that customer, what they've done or what they haven't done, and then you're going back and you're providing them with useful information, a personal invitation to become, part of the family, to join our business, and maybe a promotional incentive to, in fact, do that. So that's one example of behavioral marketing. There are a bunch of others, behaviors that trigger behavioral marketing. And you can see here on the importance index, boy, as far as importance, it hit 5. As far as ROI, it hits 5. As far as measurement, it hits 5. As far as dollars, it's really no cost to our clients, no incremental cost to our clients, to have that behavioral marketing working to build their business. Behavioral marketing, the holy grail of building your online e-commerce business. All right. So moving into the last part then of the webinar this morning is, measuring the results. And as we said before, it all starts with the traffic. This happens to be a Google Analytics chart, and through Google Analytics you can actually learn a lot about what's happening with your website. This is actually traffic day after day. So this is obviously a new site. There was no traffic at all. Started to get a couple of bumps, and then this looks like when the site was launched, and you can see how the traffic, has been building within this particular 30-day period. It then tracks, and we actually provide metrics to our clients because this is very important. How many visitors are you getting there? This one says 1,752. Is that a good number for that period of time? You need to know that, so so you know whether or not you need to do something differently. You have bounce rates. These are people that came to got to one page, didn't do anything more with the site, and then left. That bounce rate needs to be managed because that's an indication that they got to your site, but it wasn't what they were looking for, or they couldn't find what they were looking for. One of the two. If you're building a new business, you also want most of your visitors to come from new customers. And in this case, 62% of those visits within that 30-day period came from new customers. 38% of it were customers that had been there and had returned a second time or a third time or a fourth time. So there is a ton of data that's available through Google Analytics that's available in near real time. It's essentially available every day. And if you know, I mean, we're to the point where we can tell clients, hey, in order to hit your monthly targets in terms of sales, you really need to get somewhere in the neighborhood of this many visitors to your site in this period of time. And so you can actually see this, and actually some of this data is included on the Energy Engine dashboard every day when our clients log in to run that business. And they can see what their visits are compared to what their target is, or what their bounce rate is compared to their target is, and so forth. So rather than waiting to the end of the period or the end of the quarter to find out, am I going to meet my target, you have a pretty good idea every day if you're going to hit your target or not. More on measuring results. This is on e-newsletters. This is actually the service that we use for e-newsletters. It's called Constant Contact. Most of our clients use the same service. This is actually some of the newsletters that we send to our base. It measures a variety of things. How many emails were sent, industry average open rate. So this broken line right here is the industry average rate. For our industry, this green line is actually how we perform. So you can see here we're way over the average rate. We kind of bounce around here just a little bit below, jump up again, and so forth. So you can see how well you're doing in terms of the open rates or click rates, which aren't viewed on this slide, but with a click could be added to this particular side to see how many people are clicking on that newsletter, clicking on links in that newsletter. You know that they're interacting with it. So also, e-newsletter is very, very measurable. And then finally, as we wrap up, talk about e-commerce's impact on fuel companies. And these were, as the invitation for this webinar pointed out, we wanted to share some of the scoreboard from this past heating season with what's happening with clients that are using e-marketing tactics effectively, and specifically in our case as it relates to their online fuel sales and what's happening. Same store visits. Okay, so same store here, what we're referring to is if we look at our clients that were operating online fuel sales business this past heating season as well as the prior heating season. So they had to be doing it a minimum of 2 heating seasons to be included in these measurements. So that, of those companies that have been doing it for a while, look at this. Web visits this last season have increased 170%. It's an indication of more and more people using the internet to find the products and services they're looking for and then make those purchases online. So in this case, visits. Remember, it all starts with the traffic. Same store unique visitors. Now the difference between a visitor is I can visit your website 10 times in the last month, and I count as 10 visits, but I'm only one unique visitor. And you can see here the unique visits are actually up even stronger than visits, up 219% this last heating season. Organic search traffic. Remember, I said organic is the most valuable. The organic results are more valuable than paid results. Up 271% organic search traffic that's coming to our clients' sites. So they're doing their SEO well, and they continue to improve on it to get that gallon or get that traffic. And then, ultimately, it's fun to get the traffic, but we're really in business to make a profit and sell gallons. And this number even surprised us where our clients, same-store growth in gallons this past season compared to the prior season, up an incredible 274%. Now, we know it was a little bit cooler. It was more like a normal winter this last year, but it wasn't 274% colder by any means. So we're seeing strong, strong online sales growth. One other metric that we watch is average drop size, the number of gallons that are delivered every time your truck stops to make a delivery. The online this past season was 195 gallons, and that compares to 103 gallons for the industry standard or your offline drop size, if you're not selling online. That's a huge improvement in terms of efficiency to your fleet, in terms of your profitability per delivery, and overall the profitability that you can get out of your costs for your fleet. And we can talk for a long time in terms of fleet efficiency and the positive impact that online fuel sales has on your fleet. So in summary, what's happening is increased web searches are driving increased traffic to sites, which are driving significant growth in e-lists. Remember, I mentioned e-lists as being e-list gold, which ultimately are driving increased sales. So it all works together. So did we answer the questions that we kind of set out to, that we posed at the beginning? So we think about this for your business. Do you need e-marketing? And we think so, for a number of different reasons. Who can do it for me? Can you do it yourself? Yeah, a combination of both, or some of our clients that just love doing this kind of stuff, spend time with e-marketing, essentially do it all themselves. Certainly there are companies that our clients work with that can in fact do that for them, that are very good at it as well. What does it cost? It's much, much, much less expensive than traditional marketing is. And the ROI, most importantly, is if you look at your advertising expenditures as an investment, if they provide you with a positive ROI. So, and marketing tactics done properly do. It's infinitely more measurable than many of the traditional marketing tactics. Placing an ad in a newspaper, running a radio ad, and so forth. Maybe you can kind of get an idea sometimes if somebody's listening to their radio ad and they called and placed an order with you because of that radio advertising, but it's pretty soft measurement. In the e-commerce world or in the e-marketing world, it's much, much more measurable. Do you also need traditional advertising? Yeah, in some cases you do. There's shifts that are taking place in terms of what consumers are responding to as far as the messages that they see throughout the course of their day. But traditional advertising still does have a place. It's just less of it now than it had been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But it still has a role. So what do you do next? I think all of us need to think about our businesses. We know for the heating oil and the propane business, our market is changing. That graph there actually represents the gallons and how they've changed for heating oil and propane over the last 10 years. So we are, especially in the heating oil world, seeing a decline in terms of overall gallons in the industry, and less so, but still a decline in terms of propane gallons as we become more efficient with equipment, better insulate our homes, and so forth. However, the one thing here that is changing, that is going the opposite direction, is gallons that are sold online. Those gallons are increasing as companies now take business from their competitors because they make it more convenient for their customers to buy from them online. So that's our webinar for this morning. We appreciate your time and your attendance this morning. If you like to talk with us more in terms of the content of this webinar or online fuel sales, we're certainly glad to do that. Or if you're using a marketing agency for your business, talk with them about e-marketing and what some of their viewpoints are and some of the results that they see. But we do see a combination of e-marketing and online fuel sales, a very, very direct impact in terms of your ability to grow your business. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Adrian, and we'll take any questions that we might have. Adrian, back to you.
Great. Thanks, John. The first question is, if I do SEO, why do I need pay-per-click?
Yeah, that's a good question and a pretty insightful question. You may not. You may not. If your SEO is really working well for you and you're getting page one results on the phrases that are important to you, like our client was in our example, then you may not want to be spending money on pay-per-click. However, where pay-per-click has been used very, very effectively is, once you do your SEO, on your site, you don't get results overnight. As a matter of fact, it will take a matter of months until your SEO, your results from your SEO should be continually improving over that period of time. But it takes time for the search engines to crawl your site the first time that you have updated your SEO. Sometimes there are directory submissions that are required as part of that SEO process. Those things just take some time before you really achieve your optimum search results as a result of your initial SEO efforts. During that period of time, you can use pay-per-click to supplement, so that you'll be on that first page, to whatever extent your budget allows you to do that. So it's a way for you to get on that first page before your SEO is getting you there. The other very intriguing use I mentioned in the webinar, if you have a competitor that's getting a lot of search traffic to their site, you know that, and people are searching directly on that company's name, you can target that company's name with pay-per-click, and you can wind up on their page, their search results page, as an alternative to the products and services they're providing. So a couple of examples why pay-per-click makes very easy sense as far as supplementing SEO.
Okay, great. Next question. Our business is a local business. It seems like our customers would just call us like always. Why do we need to change?
And the phone, don't cancel your telephone service by any means. Customers will call. And we'll continue to do that. And still, a large percentage of the population, still uses the phone because that's the behavior that's the way that they've communicated, with you, over the last number of decades. But as we can see from some of the numbers, the SEO, online access, online research, online buying is in fact shifting in a very, very big way in terms of our population. And it also applies to local businesses as well. Even today, quite honestly, the Yellow Pages are delivered to the house. The last couple that were delivered haven't even made it inside the house. They went right to the recycle bin because people are using Yellow Pages less and less, which is typically the local way to get the phone number to find out, phone number for the businesses that are providing the products and services. Main Street, I think about the town that we live in, and virtually all of the businesses on Main Street, be they a restaurant or a specialty boutique or a retail store, they all have their own websites now. And that's where people are going for information. So the Internet isn't just for large companies. The Internet also has gone Main Street as well.
Okay. And of course, once again, you've done a great job. So someone wants to know if they can get a copy of your presentation.
Can they?
Sure. If you give me a copy.
No, you got it, Adrian.
Okay. And that appears to be the last of the questions. So with that, I'd like to thank you, John, and thank you all of our attendees for taking the time this morning. You will be receiving an email from me with instructions on how to contact us should you have any further questions, or if you'd like to request further demos of us. So again, thank you for your time, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend coming up.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.